one thing that happens when you throw in any VR game is that invariably, because the games generally are not super lengthy and they're more about experience and just tasting the different kinds of mechanics that the developers have crafted for you, you end up jumping from that game into another game and into another game, and that's precisely what happened with me when I played Vader Immortal. I also wanted to kind of get my hands on time with a few other games before we wrapped up for the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards, and one of the games that was on my playlist last night was released last night. It's from Twisted Pixel, and it's called Path of the Warrior, and it was unveiled at the Game Awards, which was pretty cool. This is a VR kind of variant on Streets of Rage. You actually are punching your way through Rage City, and you encounter a bunch of cartoony bad guys inside of a pool hall or a bar, and then you go into the kitchen and you're on the streets, and you've got all of these different punch and kick mechanic moves, and it was crazy fun. There was a little bit of collision detection issue, and sometimes my arms and punches and kicks would clip right through some of the players, or I'd get too close to them. And there was a repetitive kind of quality to the experience because a lot of it was punching and kicking and punching and kicking. But if you made them get a bit dizzy or got the little birdies spinning around their heads, you could actually grab them and throw them into garbage cans or throw them into jukeboxes or furnaces or whatever. And it's like definitely cartoon enhanced violence, but very much in the vein of the over-the-top Final Fight and Streets of Rage type games, which I love. I've been playing a ton of those old 16-bit style brawlers in my 16-bit superhero segment, so I was really impressed. It's actually a lot of fun and very quirky, and Twisted Pixel has got a nice long history of doing things that are a little subversive, a little avant-garde, a little crazy fun, a little juvenile, but they always make you laugh. They always make you smirk, and definitely Path of the Warrior does that. I haven't played enough that I can give it a full review, but I think it's pretty damn cool. The other game that I tested out a little bit was Defector, which is also made by Twisted Pixel. And in this one, you're playing a spy, and you get into some unbelievable over-the-top antics as well, and there's lots of cool mechanics in there. Some issues with targeting, especially when in the gunplay type sequences where I was trying to aim down the sights, and I just couldn't hit all of the targets that I wanted to. But it's not just about that. It's interacting with the different individuals that are in the game. Everything's been kind of tuned in terms of the dialogue trees and the types of responses that you're going to get. You can try to kind of gauge how to manipulate the person that you're dealing with so that you get what you want as the secret spy. Usually it's information, but there's secrets to uncover, and you could tap your visor. You basically put your finger up to your headset, and then you've got this cool rig on your eyeball. This what are those things called when you put them on your eyeball? Yeah, contact. You've got this contact lens thing that's got this cool technology in it, so you can scan the environment, and it'll tell you where you need to go to find some secret file or something like that, some hideaway safe. And then it goes from this more kind of sneaking and trying to infiltrate and figure out secrets and mysteries within game worlds, and then to these over-the-top action sequences. Like I busted out of a plane with a parachute and landed on another plane and climbed up a plane and then got into a firefight. It's pretty rad. It's pretty damn cool and ambitious. Certainly a memorable VR experience. But the one that really took my breath away that I was playing last night and could not believe how simple and fun it was. It's kind of a marriage of Beat Saber and John Wick, with a little bit of the super hot kind of aesthetics, where you're basically being forced down a runway and bad guys are jumping out at you with different weapons, shotguns and handguns and machine guns. They're shooting at you. You can see their bullet trails, but it's all timed to the rhythm. So you got this cool electronic music that's happening, and you're just blasting at bad guys as quickly as you can. Pardon me? It's called Pistol Whip, which is a perfect name for the game. But you really just feel like such a badass. So you reload by just pointing the guns down at the floor, and then you start off with one, and then you can customize that. You can choose different handguns, and then of course you can get embellish your weaponry and get into some two-handed combat. But it's crazy. You've got bad guys popping up from all over you, all around you. Some of them pop up and they've got all kinds of armor on them that you can chip away at with your bullets. But you feel like you feel like John Wick. You just feel like poo poo poo. And then as you're going down this hallway or this corridor, you're being pushed down the corridor. It's like one of those endless runner type of experiences. You're also avoiding different obstructions that are coming at you. And I got to tell you, the fidelity of the experience, I think mostly because it was just a tuned and simplistic visual style. It wasn't overloaded with detail, but it had enough detail that you got that full-on sensation that you were in a firefight. It was pretty damn flawless. It was really, really fun. Maybe not to the degree of shock that Beat Saber was, because when that game came out, it was like, why haven't we played a game like this in VR before? It was almost like the perfect, killer app for VR. Beat Saber, I'm talking about. So this doesn't have that shock value because it's kind of like iterating on that concept, but it's so slick, and I love this John Wick / James Bond thing. One of the guns that I picked out was a Walther PPK, which, it just felt like the world's best super spy. Pew, 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 as I was shooting all the bad guys. Definitely a pew 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 type of experience. But the other thing that was pretty amazing about, and honestly, I feel like this VR chat is dedicated to VR Grid. That's for you, my friend. The other thing that really made this special is that Oculus had sent me out a Rift S to test out some of the software on. I used the Rift S to play Stormland, which is also an exquisite VR experience. The last one in the partnership between Insomniac and Oculus, wonderful game. But the Rift S is a very special piece of technology. It takes a lot of the tech that's in the Oculus Quest, which is a wireless system, and it's got cameras on the head-mounted display, so you don't have to put any sensors anywhere. You just basically put it on, create your Guardian, and you're good to go. Now you do have a tether with this system that plugs into your computer through the HDMI port and also through the USB port, but that's it. It's got the camera sensors, and it's got a much improved visual resolution, so you don't see any of that sort of barn door kind of effect. It also feels like there's a better field of view within the headset. It's very comfortable. There's no earbuds or anything like that to put on unless you want to. You can plug in your own external headset if you want. All of the audio just comes right out of the headset, and it's sort of aimed at your ears, and it's maybe not as enveloping as having soundproofing, like a soundproofing headset on or something like that. But it still sounds pretty damn cool. But what impresses me the most is the ease to set it up. You just plug it in, the software knows that it's all there, and then it knows that you're creating a Guardian, and if you walk forward, the cameras will actually tell you when you're passing through the threshold, so you won't bash your hand or your head on an object in your game space. And it worked great, and the visual quality and the fidelity of the games was just absolutely breathtaking. So I had a great time, and honestly, my hat's off to Oculus this year, because not only are they making cool hardware, I still think that the best VR hardware, best VR tech to get right now in 2019, especially because of new additions, is the Quest. I haven't had a chance to try out the tethered Quest, because now you can actually play Rift software on the Quest if you plug in a USB-C cable into your computer. I haven't tested that out yet, but I think that's amazing. But the other thing that they just added to the Quest is hand tracking and finger tracking, so you can play video games without any without the touch controllers. You can actually use your fingers, and that update just went out. I don't know what software uses it. I'll be playing some of that stuff over the break, and I'll have some thoughts on that later on. But not only do they have all of this tech, they're obviously investing in some really good games. Defector is Oculus software. The Path of the Warrior is Oculus software. Stormland, Asgard's Wrath, the Darth Vader game. I mean, obviously, Valve has got the Alex game, the Half-Life Alex game, which looks phenomenal. I can't wait to play that. And PlayStation's probably got a bunch of good games up their sleeve for PlayStation 5 at this point. But I don't know. The Oculus isn't resting. They're working hard in lots of different fronts to make VR video game entertainment really fun for us. And I had a great time last night. So those are some of the recent VR titles. Some of them might end up being things that I talk about in the Rocket and Ray Gun, so stay tuned for that.